Hola babies, I hope that you're all doing well. I'm sorry it's taking me so long to get to this video. I tried to film it in my car while I was running errands and that just did not work. So the chance that my tripod is going to slip around is extremely high because I'm not well equipped to really be but I'm here to finally talk about the selected hot topic for this video, which is on the supernatural and asking the question if ghosts are real. So personally, I've had a lot of experiences with the supernatural, my family believing in mediums and, the connection between the energy in this world and the next. So I have a feeling I'm gonna sound very hippie in this video because I just believe in this shit. I really do. I think it's super cool. Everyone is so entitled to have their own preference on what's real and what isn't. But if you are interested in this kind of stuff, keep watching. I've heard so many different perceptions from different witches and people in our life that have worked with my grandmother and other people in my family who were involved in this sort of practice. Not witches, but just connecting with different planes of spirits and stuff like that. Obviously, I cannot disclose all the information. What has touched me personally, I definitely am a believer. And there's so much that is so interesting to me because the reason why death and ghosts and stuff to people is really not accepted so widely is because it's something that we cannot understand because it can't be physically seen sometimes and it can't really be tangibly felt to a lot of people. I'm not expecting everyone to maintain this way of thinking, but I think it's so cool to talk about and keep an open mind about it because you never know what might come your way in terms of ghosts and things. But he's a cat. Hi, cat. My first experience with the supernatural was with my grandmother. She had been a medium in Mexico for the longest time. If you don't know me, my family is from Mexico. So she was very in touch with those elements of life, with contacting different spirits and feeling different energies. She had this very old house in Mexico and there was a little garden out back. She would always have tea parties with me in the back. And one day we were sitting there and she pointed towards these blue flowers that were planted in a bush kind of off to the side of the stone wall, and she was like, go there and look at the flowers for me and tell me what you see. So I went over to the bush and I started I didn't really know what she wanted me to do. I kind of just stood there and looked at the petals and kind of took in the scenery and started to feel very uneasy with being over there. Maybe it was that I didn't know what my grandmother wanted me to do. I remember out of the corner of my eye I saw this kind of shadowy figure. When you know that someone's standing there and it's not darkness, it's not their shadow, but it's out of your peripheral vision you can see this kind of shape there. And I looked over and there was no one there. And I freaked out and I ran back to my grandmother and I was like, there was nothing over there. And she said, I always see a little boy standing over there by that plant. But I knew that I had definitely felt something, and that's when I started dealing with believing or not believing and trying to make sense of what happened in that moment. And I never really talk about this with people just because it sounds crazy because it's something that we can't really measure in any sort of way. But then when I was 14, starting to go back through my emo phase, my friend gifted me a Ouija board. And I thought it was just for fun. I never really played with it because my nanny at the time found it and she was like, don't ever play with this. This is the devil's game, don't do it. Which obviously just made me want to play it more because I was like, I don't even care. I'm just a bad I was with my friend and she was like, oh, we should totally play it. We were playing in my new bedroom and the way that we were playing was we were on the floor and behind me was a dresser with a big mirror on it. We had the door left open just in case anything spooky happened, and my dog was just kind of roaming around the hallways, not really paying any attention to us. There would be really no reason for her to come over to us. We didn't have any treats for her, but we're playing the game, and as we're playing and kind of waiting for someone to move the board or something to happen, my dog came in and she laid down across the board, totally on her side with her legs stretched out across the board. And I was like, okay, I'm done. That was weird for me. Something happened where I left the room. I think the doorbell rang or something. So I got up and I went to go get the door, but my friend was still in the room. If you've seen the Ouija scary movies, there are a lot of rules to playing Ouija. You have to like say goodbye when you leave and like all these different rules on how to close the game. But I got up, the doorbell rang, and I left my friend in the room by herself. I came back to my room and my friend ran out of my room and she was like, holy I just got up from playing with the board and I looked into your mirror and there was a face directly behind me. I don't know if she made it up, I don't really know, I was not there to see it, but a lot of weird things started happening after that incident. In the corner of my room I had this lamp and it was connected to a socket in the wall, pretty standard, but there were random times where that lamp would suddenly burn out even after I put like a new bulb in, and sometimes the glass would literally explode with no reason. So I assumed that it was the lamp itself, so we got that replaced, and it just kept happening. That light kept fizzing out, so maybe it was the socket, and then we got like a whole extension to plug into that wall, and you know, other things connected to the extension would stay on, but still that lamp in that corner would turn off. That was weird. And then there would be moments in the night where my door would just open by itself. And you know, you sometimes get that feeling at night that someone is watching you, and you get that sort of paranoia that there's someone else in that room with you. I was never really afraid of anything if there was an energy there, but it started to really make me question spiritual energy and if ghosts are real and the whole like paranormal experience. Obviously, if you've taken physics or chemistry, you've learned that energy can't be created and energy can't be destroyed. So we're in this perpetual cycle of sharing our energy and having it pass to the world, and it's never truly left this earth. And again, this is a hot takes, so if you have any other opinions, please comment them. I love discussing things like this. So it made me think about the energy that we possess as humans and what happens after we pass and where does that energy go. I kind of created my own philosophy that, you know, when people pass away, that there's a different plane where our energy goes that kind of just hangs around for a little bit. It doesn't mean that they are watching everything we do. I think that is really unsettling to some people and why the paranormal area is ridiculously creepy, and I would totally agree. But okay, the door just sounded like someone was pushing it from the other side. I don't know if you guys heard that. Around for a while, and that energy still possesses characteristics of the person that it once belonged to, and can kind of be like embodiment of their soul and emotions and energies that they felt throughout their life, which is why sometimes I feel that certain spirits can be malevolent due to the fact that the energy and emotions that they possess can be very negative. And I think that that negative energy is one that a lot of people experience, because negative energy is one that is felt by more people and kind of spooks a lot more people, is because it is so palpable to so many. It's really that negative energy that hurts so much more to feel and is so much more uncomfortable than joy or, you know, anything else really. And you know, the same way that like positive energy is infectious and smiling is infectious, I think negative energy and its presence is really infectious as well. But I would suggest to not go, you know, looking for certain energies, because I think it gets a little bit complicated. You don't really get to pick and choose who you're drawing out, and at least in my experience, that's kind of been what has occurred. You want something to happen, but you can't really have like a magnet and draw certain people and things out, and it gets tricky because you don't know what is around you. And I think that there's so many energies that flow around us all the time. I feel like I sound like the crunchiest person ever talking about all these energies and stuff, but anyway, you talk to like any priest or anyone that is like an exorcist or anyone that has dealt with things of the paranormal, you are not meant to be afraid. So when we start seeking out certain things and start talking about certain things, it's feeding into that energy's presence, if that makes sense. And this totally might not make sense to any of you, and I totally validate that, but I think when people deal with different things in their lives, when they've felt different things, we're all looking for ways to explain what we felt. So I think we should respect everyone's view on what they felt, especially when it comes to the afterlife, because there's so many anxieties that our body needs to quell, and sometimes that answer for some people is religion or believing in ghosts and shit. And we don't know, we can't ever really know. So I think it's important to keep an open mind. I think the ghosts definitely do exist, and there's definitely another side to the world that we don't really understand because it is unseen and it is just so complex to understand. But I definitely wouldn't fuck with it. After we used the Ouija board, my other friend was like, oh, I want to play with it, because she was also super into ghosts and whatever. I couldn't find it. I'd always kept it in the same place in the basement, but you know, it like totally disappeared. There could be so many different explanations to why it was gone. I've completely disassembled my basement and put it back together looking for this board, but there is no sign of it. You know, that could be attributed to my nanny seeing that we played it again and threw it out or incinerated it, but you know, that's still my property, and I think she understands that that's not right, but who knows? I think it's fascinating. I think it's so fascinating. I wish I actually asked you guys what you thought about ghosts and the paranormal, because I think it's really interesting to see what other people think. Because from a psychological perspective, these are all just answers to the questions that we seek so desperately for. And everyone comes up with their own thing. So I want you guys to comment and have like anything to say or any different perspectives on supernatural and paranormal experiences. I want to hear them. I hope you guys enjoy this video. I'm sending you all muchos besos and I hope you have an amazing day.